Okay, we are live. See, um, yeah, let me see. Okay, we will. I'm just trying to put the link in the chat. Okay, we'll give it a minute and then we can start. Okay. Mhm. Yeah,
Ready?
I think we can start. If people will join, people would join while we are on the show. We have already have about five or so people on. So yeah, I think we can go ahead.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Again, welcome to this midweek edition of the Idle Park Talk Show. We are here every week. At least we try to. We're here to share our opinions on major events around the world and to give you insights. Today, we are talking primarily about Cameroon politics with an emphasis on the death of the um, previous or the former Speaker of the National Assembly. We have a few entertainment issues that we're going to talk about, notably um, the arrest of Can Quintus here is leading producer, actor in the Cameroon film industry. Again, we like to remind you and reiterate that we do not claim to be experts on this topic. We're just here to share insights. And if you think this is something that care about or concerns you, or you feel like chiming in, you're more than welcome to come and do that live or do so in the comment section. We'll be happy to reply to you. Um, Without much ado, let's just dive in. I don't know if it was shocking today, but it's definitely a surprise to hear the passing of the former Speaker of the National Assembly, Kavaye Jibril. I believe it's someone that all, well, majority, if not all, of Cameroonians know him. He has been in the political scene for the longest time, one of the constant names in the ruling party. Recently, was uh, recently left his post. I think a couple of days ago, a couple of weeks ago, and we just found out he died today and has been buried today. So this is a shocker. A lot of people are stunned. They don't know what to say. But regardless, he's been there since the 1970s. So we are going to be trying to examine his contribution to the political scene of Cameroon and his life as a politician and where does Cameroon go from here. So um, maybe I just pose a question to you. Were you surprised? How did you take the news of Cavaye's passing?
I mean, honestly, uh this was no news to me. Just because I think these are people who have been in office for too long, and not only myself, but I'm sure most Cameroonians are very, very disgruntled with you know politicians like this who get into office and choose to stay in office until the ripe old age of 80 of 86. He was appelé à d'autres fonctions, so kind of removed, elected out of his presidency of the National Assembly just a couple of months back. That was, I think, that was in March, right, when he was replaced as Speaker of the House of the National Assembly Parliament, if you want to call it that way. So yeah, to me, it was not exactly a surprise. He was an old man even before his removal or election out of office. He was kind of old and frail, and more or less kind of a laughing stock, or a mockery of the political system itself. He isn't the only politician, administrator in Cameroon who we believe is old. The president, his boss, is way older and still in office, right? So his passing was no surprise. At some point, you expect people his generation to pass on. He is not the only one his generation. A couple of other politicians about his age who have passed on in the last couple of months, or who are said to be frail and sick and probably the point of passing on, right? So yeah, no surprise to me. It's news like,
You never knew.
again, you can't expect people to probably you wouldn't want people to die, but sometimes when people like
Yeah,
this pass on, you're not exactly happy because you really can't be, but again, you're not exactly sad that it's good riddance. I would say probably for most Cameroonians would probably hold the same view.
yeah. I mean, just from my sampling of social media, a lot of people didn't care that much. They're just
Mhm,
like, he's old, he's been there for a long time. So, um, funny enough, people are, without saying it directly, it's saying that there are more people that that is supposed to come for.
mhm,
Um, but it is the case, and they have been in power for a very long time. We're going to read his history in a little bit.
mhm,
Uh, I don't think Cameroonians are shocked that much. He was old, he was frail,
mhm,
like you said. He people could not understand him when he spoke. He was
mhm,
slurring, word salad. He had no energy, so it was really obvious that these people were nearing the end. And um, like you, many Cameroonians do not care. Like he's gone. The next I don't know that much changes in the political scene of
mhm,
Cameroon, but it is what it is. Remember Marcel Nyanji, he too passed away
mhm.
few days after his removal as president of the Senate. So this is no news. We have people, a country where people in their 80s, in their 90s are still running.
Excellent office.
It's not as if as soon as they leave the political scene, they just die. Like, that is it. So,
I mean,
um,
he is probably going to be greatly missed by his family, which obviously the case, but I don't think he's going to be missed by a majority of Cameroonians.
right.
A majority of Cameroonians will probably be happy that
Yeah.
he's gone. And of course, like you said earlier, I'm sure a lot more Cameroonians are hoping that it's just the beginning of a long list of people who they hope would pass on in the next, maybe by the end of this year, including, I'm sure, including their president. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this, but I'm sure a lot of people would want Post-Biya gone as well. Again, just putting it out there for those who are thinking it and unwilling to or unable to say it.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, that is said subtly, not overtly. Obviously, many people in Cameroon can come out and say that you reached your term and us and other things, but you can see the social media comments that are kind of suggestive, implying, and kind of like you know indicating that this is what a lot of people want. But it is what it is. They go when they go.
Mhm.
Still willing. Um, I was going to read a little bit about
Yes.
Kavayega. He has had a stellar career and a Parliament of Cameroon, born in 1940, February 1st, 1940, in Mado, which is a village in the Mayo Sava region, which he represented in the National Assembly for the longest time in the far north region. He um, has been in Parliament since the 1970s. um, Initially went to school, I think, in the sports and the sports institute in Yaoundé. So was a teacher in Mara for a little bit, then went back, was elected to the legislative body. But he's been member of parliament since 1970, had a little break, came back in 1983, and then went on to become speaker in 1992. And from 1992 on there, he has been voted many times uncontested as Speaker of of the House of National Assembly. He's gotten majority of the vote. Of course, the CPDM has been,
It's always
um,
been majority. Yes.
yeah, so he's got majority of a few absentee votes here and there, but those were insignificant. They didn't mean a lot. He has always been a member of the CPDM party. Actually, he started with the Cameroon National Union, which then became the CPDM. He was a member of parliament of East Cameroon. That's why he go as far back as in the 1970s, before it became United Cameroon and the Republic of Cameroon. So he has been in power, holding the speaker position since 1992. If you do the math, that is 30, what, 34 years, 30,
Yeah,
about
34 years as speaker about.
about that. And he's been re-elected multiple times. And as speaker, obviously a member of the Central Committee of the CPTM, he was there to made sure that the agenda of the president was passed. So he has always been a wingman of President Post-Biya, making sure his agenda goes through, making sure his promises to the to the Cameroonian people go through and gets the vote that it's needed to be able to implement it. Um, um, we didn't hear much about his sickness, but you could tell from his appearance, from his speeches, that the guy was really sick. So, but no one heard anything about his sickness, and he was, somewhat of a surprise to hear that he passed on. But one major thing, he was one of the very few, not the very few, but one of the those who were opposed against the Anglophone crisis, and not just when it started in 2018, but back in 2001 and 2000s, when Anglophone parliamentarians were kind of refusing to vote or absent from the vote and their responsibilities. He was already talking about the Anglophone crisis. So he's been one of those who have been against that for a very long time. Just to throw that in there. Just that was just a general overview of his stellar contribution to the Cameroonian political scene. Obviously, very instrumental. But now he's gone, buried today, and we. I don't know what our hope is for the future, but we hope that the person replacing him is gonna do right by the Cameroonian population. So yeah, what do you think about his career? That was just a good summary.
I kind of wanted to bring up a few things that he did when he was speaker. Well, when he was in parliament. Yes, probably still speaker of the National Assembly. So I want to talk about the number of constitutional changes which he led or headed as Speaker of the House. 1996, there was a constitutional amendment that Kavai Jibril, of course, kind of led. And with this, there was the revision. Well, this amendment did a revision and introduced significant changes, including limiting the presidential mandate to 7 years, renewable once,
Hmm.
and introducing the Senate. So presidential okay, again, that was a significant change from kind of the old system where okay, you would be president for um for 7 years and then renewable. Also in 2008 there was another amendment where a major revision abolished the two-term limit and introduced the two-term limit that was introduced in 1996, allowing the president to run for an unlimited re-election,
Yeah.
for unlimited re-elections. It also renamed provinces to regions and granted immunity to the presidency for official acts. So this, when you talk about accomplishments, he was a servant of the president. That was very clear, as most of them are servants of the president. Each time the president of the republic came towards the end of his term, of his period of service, he would go and amend the constitution like most African presidents do. Amend the constitution to allow him to run again or to stay much longer. So 1996 there was a constitutional amendment primarily dealing with presidential term limits. 2008 another constitutional amendment primarily dealing with the presidential term limit, right? So these were all, if you want to call them accomplishments, or this is how Kavae Yeke and his cohorts and colleagues, participated in giving the president an unlimited term in office, and that's why we currently have a 92-year-old president who just took another 7-year term 1 year ago. Was it 1 year ago? Yeah, I think about 1 year ago, right? So these are some of the you want to call them successes, or is it some of the failures, depending on who you talk to, that Kavai Yege Jibril elect. For me, these are the most important things that I could talk about him. When it comes to any other achievements, I'm not exactly sure what else I could directly linked to the individual, but these two constitutional amendments are directly connected to him. There's also the 2026 constitutional amendment, which I believe the writing and the reading started with him as Speaker of the House, but the votes were held after I was gone, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Right. And again, I'm sure we could talk about it again. A very important part of the constitution being changed, where they're reintroducing the post of vice president, a post which was removed from the constitution in the 1976 constitutional amendment. That position was removed, and this time around, they are introducing the position of vice president who is appointed directly by the president to succeed the
yeah,
president in case of his absence, illness, or incapacity to perform his responsibilities, right? So again, these two is an amendment that started with
yeah,
Kavaye Jibril, even though it was concluded with a new speaker of the house. Again, if you want to
yeah,
call this a success, well, that's fine. If you think this is more or less a failure on the part of our lawmakers, then I'm sure you're right to say that as well, right? So I kind of just wanted to highlight those three key components, all related to adjusting and amending the constitution of Cameroon.
yeah. I mean, he's done his part.
Hmm.
It's some people are sad that he passed away, but that's life. You're born and you die. Um, just life. So I, I, my hope is I hope he did leave Cameroon in a better place than he made it. And the person who took over him is supposed to carry the mantle and do the job, respect the laws, respect the vote that Cameroonian or the confidence given to you by the Cameroonian people. Um, um, otherwise, it is. We also have to remember that he was a Lamido. For those who don't understand, that is the chief of his village. So he is also a traditional ruler.
Hmm.
Uh, he's held that position till I think till his death too. So as traditional ruler, he has always tried to separate the state and the traditional rulers. He has always thought that traditional rulers should support the state in administering their subjects. So they should not become like statesmen, whatever, but they are not parallel to the states, but they are there to support the states. Okay. So another little detail to add there.
I'm not
So
sure where you wanted to go next, but I wanted to kind of ask you what your thoughts were about the 2026 constitutional amendment of
okay,
that I just highlighted a little while ago.
yeah. Okay. I don't know. It's a difficult one, but from what I have heard, the arguments I have heard presented, it's as the president, the vice president is not a post that's supposed to be up for vote, like you said. The president is supposed to appoint that person, and that person is supposed to take over the president in case of incapacitation.
Mhm.
This argument, the opposition are saying that it should be up for vote. The Cameroonian people should be able to know who they're going to vote as vice president, so he too is on the ticket. But the counter argument is it is the president who's on the ticket. He is the one who forms the government or who signs on the prime minister. He's the one to appoint his vice president, and he can
Mhm.
appoint whoever
Mhm.
he wants. So it is not you don't have you're voting for the president. You're not voting for the vice president. And should the president become incapacitated, it's something that is unfortunate, but that is not who we voted for. So he has a right to choose who he wants to choose. A lot of Cameroonians, understandably, are thinking that this is another way for the ruling party to cement power, to continue to have a grip over the um, um, political scene in Cameroon, to continue to exert their pressures on the political system. But I don't know where I fall on that. I think it's not like the US where I mean, the vice president has not a lot, but still has a lot of still has some influence on how people vote. But um, I don't know that people will say it's as significant as who the president is. So I just all this is it. I'm still working my way. I understand the argument that people vote for the president, not the vice president. The president, in his capacity, knows who to better serve him, and not somebody that is voted by the president. So I would say I am kind of leaning towards understanding that the president can appoint whoever he wants. Um, at the end of the day, people voted him, so they are trusting his judgment to make and to govern the country rightly, and obviously choose a vice president that will be reflect his agenda and a good representation of the Cameroonian people. I don't necessarily think that a vice president has to be voted in. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I think the president should be able to allow. If you guys vote him in, he should be able to have the leeway to appoint who he wants as vice president. I don't know. That's my position. I'm still trying to work where I really stand on that.
So I mean, we've always talked about the succession problem in Cameroon, and again, we this is not the first time we're talking about. We have been talking about this for, I guess, the past couple of years since we started the Idle Park Talk Show, and we've always had a worry about succession, right? As to who succeeds the president in case of him being absent, dead, incapacitated or something. And we've always said that the ruling party and the head, President Paul Biya, hasn't really identified or demonstrated a clear successor or a clear succession strategy for when he is not available. Is this, do you believe that? I mean, it's not like we talk to the CPDM or we talk to the president, but I get a feeling that the president in his spare time probably also has been thinking about what happens in my absence, right? And again, not just thinking about who takes over, but ensuring the stability, that there's the stability and clear succession when he leaves. Imagine the president dies and it's not very clear who takes over. It's not very clear who has authority to do what. Imagine what that state might look like. Coup d'etat, everything else happens. But when there's a clear succession, and one that is appointed, meaning it's known to the general public, because once the president appoints the vice president, it becomes obvious that this is who he wants to replace him in case he's not there, or in case he is incapacitated, right? And so this some sort of solves that problem, the problem that we've always identified: who succeeds when Paul Biya decides that he doesn't want to be president anymore by resigning, or when when he is incapacitated, fall sick, he's 92, or in case he dies like Cavaye just did. Who takes over? I think this is more or less a solution to that problem. You would think that it would be create some sort of a peace of mind for most Cameroonians, especially those Cameroonians who would not prefer chaos after the president's passing or incapacitation. But again, it feels like the bigger question is not even the creation of the post, or even who picks the vice president. I think for the past couple of weeks, the problem has been, or the big conversation amongst Cameroonians have been, who is going to be the person that ultimately gets picked. And again, I'm just kind of going to ask you, who do you think who do you think the president picks? Because again, the president hasn't appointed a vice president yet. I know there's been, if you go on social media, there's
Yeah.
talk about this person has been they've just the constitution has just been amended. The president hasn't made any declaration as to who takes that position. Also, we have been waiting for cabinet reshufflement, which hasn't happened as well. He might be waiting to make this announcement and shuffle his cabinet. At the same time, he might be examining candidates. I'm not
Yeah.
sure how he does that, but again, I think that is clearly a process that is going to happen. Without, really don't want to put you on the spot, but who do you think President Paul Biya picks as
I don't know.
vice? president.
A lot of people, even if you go to Wikipedia, some people are saying Frank Biya. That's not true. He has not appointed Frank Biya. I think I don't know if it's been fully approved by the National Assembly. Maybe I don't know. They're still working through it, but it seems like it's something that's already like concrete and is going to happen. I don't know that Frank Biya as a politician. I know him more of a business person. He has avoided. I mean, he campaigns with his dad, but he has avoided like civilian stuff and being out there as a politician and all that stuff. So I don't really see him in that position. I will not be surprised if his dad picks him there. That would be a natural succession. But all the people around Bia, like the um, what's this guy's name?
Ngongo.
Ngongo, Ferdinand Ngongo, and they see me. Those are people that I'm looking at. I'm like, these are the people who are going to succeed because they have made many decisions on the behalf of the president. Biya has trusted them in many positions. So I will likely lean towards these people than Frank Biya, which a lot of people are thinking. Just because I don't think Frank Biya is a politician, is a natural politician like his dad. But you never know with these things. I'm sure there are discussions happening backstage, and people are making proposals, and the president has an ear, and he's going to make the decision at the end of the day.
Mm,
But just to remind people, if the president had died before the position of the vice president was reinstated, it would have been the president of the Senate. If the president of the Senate was incapacitated, then the president of the National Assembly, then the prime minister. So if we have the vice president, we have a clear succession, and I think this person has to run the remainder of the term and then stand for election again. I think that's a process if we have a vice president. But if we went to the National Assembly and not to the Senate,
Senate,
I
yeah.
think they had a limited, maybe it was like 60 days to organize an election, um, um, and get the Cameroonian people to a polling station. But just all that to say, I feel to answer your question, I feel like Gongo is top of my mind
Hmm.
to not to replace to be vice president.
Hmm.
Uh, maybe it's about time that they start fitting Frank Biya into positions where he can be a top candidate in the future. But I don't know that he's a leading candidate right now.
I mean, I agree with your comments on Frank Biya. I mean, I think he's an outsider. He's clearly his father might be president, but he's clearly an outsider. He rarely participates in state
Politics.
events. You don't see him at state dinners. You don't see him when a senior but when people visit, when other leaders visit Cameroon, you don't really see him up. He Yeah, he might have campaigned with his dad a few times, but that's basically it. I feel like he is an outsider who might not even know his way about the
Right.
politics of Cameroon itself and the administration and the system. Because again, this I don't know if you want to call it how do you call it? Um
Grooming.
no, it's not dark state, something. The bureaucracy. I think there's a bureaucracy in Cameroon in terms of the administration where you have to be in it to be able to figure it. It would be hard for the bureaucracy or the deep state
Well,
of Cameroon to simply accept an outsider like Frank Biya. So yes, I agree with you. It would be a risky move to pick
yeah.
Frank Biya at this time. Maybe
Right.
earlier when his dad still had
Mhm.
um the health and the age to show him the ropes and to walk him through, right? I would say yes. Frank Biya would probably be a likely a successor, but at this time where he's almost at the end, I don't know that picking Frank Biya ensures stability or guarantee any kind of stability in continuity, right? So clearly agree. Another person I was thinking about who is a loyal servant of the president, Paul Atanganji.
I forgot that.
He, in my opinion, is one who has worked tirelessly
Deserves it.
and people will not give him the credit. But if Cameroon is still one and indivisible today,
Yeah.
Atangaji had a big role to play in making sure that this crisis, the Anglophone crisis, if you want to call it that, or the Ambazonia crisis, did not go get out of hand.
Right.
He worked
Worked.
tirelessly from the time he was made Minister of Territorial Administration in 2018. That was about 2 years, shortly 2 years after the Amazonia crisis started. He was handpicked by the
Yeah.
president to manage the crisis.
And he's worked tirelessly. And surprisingly, he's loved by people in the Northwest region.
Yes,
You speak to the common, if you just go average and sample people, especially people who are not fans of the government, they will tell you how hated Atanganji is in the Northwest and whatever.
but
But and he visited when the Pope was there, and you can hear people hailing him and screaming
and
his
he
name.
was he was really very friendly, interacting with the crowds and joking around and doing all that, right? So he too, in my opinion, will not be he will not be will not be a terrible candidate for vice president. I understand that sometimes there's this trying to create a regional balance where one person, one senior position comes
Yeah,
from a certain region and the next one. But again, if you keep that aside, Atangaji would not make a bad candidate for the post of vice president. I mean, if you want someone who has who has a knack for
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 power.
for
If you want
power,
someone who's turned, who has
yes,
been a loyalist,
yeah,
who has principled. Many people hate Atangaji, but he is one of the most, in my opinion,
principle, yes.
principled politicians in Cameroon right now. You can hate who he supports, who he's loyal to, and whatever. But in terms of principle, someone who stands on principle, I think Atangaji has shown beyond reasonable doubt that he is a man of his word.
Mhm.
You can, if you doubt him, ask Kamto.
Or ask our president elect who is
Our
hiding
president,
somewhere
actually,
outside the country. They will tell you that yes, Atanganji does not mince words. He
no,
he says what he means and he means what he says. Again, in my opinion, Atanganji will not make a bad candidate.
no,
Going back to Ferdinand Gongo, I just kind of wanted to highlight he too he's on my list, probably top on the list
yeah,
for that position of vice president. He is currently a secretary general at the presidency and has been serving as a confidant of President Paul Biya since 2011. He has also held other positions. So he's been civil cabinet of the presidency. He's been first consul to the permanent mission of Cameroon to the United Nations. He has also served as Secretary General to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and now current Secretary General to the presidency. I feel like he has the kind of portfolio for
yeah,
someone you might need to run this country. Again, in terms of foreign connections, I mean, he's served at the United Nations. He's been worked with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which means he
yeah,
understands how the world works. He already has maybe connections and relationships outside Cameroon. He's been in the civil service for quite a while, which means he has good friends within the civil service, which means he understands the civil service. He understands how the deep state Cameroon works. He is more or less part of the deep state. If you if you look at it critically, he is he friends with Chantal Bia? Is he part of that Chantal Bia clique? Because
Attendez, hein,
I
hein,
understand Chantal Bia seem to have a clique running the country. I mean, that's what people say. I don't know how true that is, but I hear that Ferdinand Gongo is part of that group of administrators who are helping run the country on behalf of a president who is mostly absent.
yeah. Those are the people who are clearly being groomed to be able to take over. If you ask me, in my opinion, who are being groomed. That is not something that you see with Frank Biya. I don't think there's any grooming of Frank Biya to be able to take. such position. I don't think these people are even going to allow people like Fambia to even come in and think what they might take what they might feel is their birthright. Because these people have been there for a long time and they
Mhm.
almost feel entitled. They feel like it's their birthright. So um, um, we don't see that grooming with Frank. He's very close to Chantal Biya and everybody around Biya. So many people think he's the one running the country behind the scenes. So I would not be surprised if Ngongo,
But
More Ngongo than on our previous show I had posited Atanganji for prime minister. So I'm not putting him up there because I think he still might potentially be prime minister. Who knows?
mm, yep. So again, that's Ngongo. He always has a lot more time to talk with the president compared to the other
Yes,
uh, or the other ministers or to the other delegates, right? He's always the one who takes the time to have a conversation, providing updates, receiving instructions. When Pobiya is leaving the country, he's the last person to talk to. When he comes back, he's the first person he meets. Even more prominent than the prime minister, head of government, right? Even more prominent by than some of the other. So yeah, I would not be surprised if he am I lobbying or campaigning for him. I can't say that I am, but would I be surprised if at the end of the day we hear that Ngongo has been appointed vice president?
yeah,
It would not take me by surprise, not at all.
not me too. Yeah, I think that's it for Come On Politics.
Mhm.
Maybe a few minutes on entertainment before we call it a day.
Yeah.
If you were here at the beginning of the show, we talked about Ken Quintus, who is a Cameroonian movie star, a producer, very influential in the entertainment industry in Cameroon, very popular in the Cameroonian diaspora in the US, UK, in Belgium. I think he had lived there for a time being. He was recently arrested and by the Interpol, International Interpol. Nothing official yet, but people are suggesting that he is being transferred to the US to face fraudulent charges. Very shocking. Is that everything now is alleged? Is alleged. Nothing is official, so we're not trying to bring down somebody who has not been charged officially. But the suspicion is fraudulent charges in the U.S. Maybe relations to Eric Tato, who has already pleaded guilty to fraudulent charges, is in jail still. Obviously shocking for many Cameroonians. Yeah, I don't know that you know Can Quintus that much, but I'm sure you've heard of him. For those who don't know him, he was the main director, also an actor in The Fisherman's Diary, which made it all the way to Netflix, and you can watch it on Netflix. So he's in jail now. I guess in the days ahead, we're going to see what he's been charged with, and maybe we'll have a better idea. But for now, everything is alert. Following charges. Any thoughts?
No, this is not the first Cameroonian who has been arrested and charged with fraud and other offenses, right? Only recently, Eric Tato, who seemed to be a friend of Can Quintus,
Yeah,
was also pleaded guilty for
yeah,
same thing, bank fraud in connection with multiple fraudulent COVID-19 relief loans, right? And I hear that um, um, again, it is alleged that Canquitus too was part of the fraud or is part of or something like that. Again, officially, we don't know what the charges are, but I know that there's multiple cases where either Cameroonians in the United States are being investigated,
yeah,
or have been arrested or have been charged with fraud offenses, especially connected to the COVID-19 loan. So it's not Can Quintus is not the first. He probably is not going to be the last. Eric Tato pleaded guilty a couple
Years
a,
ago,
a
couple of
couple
years
of
ago.
weeks ago. We also know of a Cameroonian who is also very popular in the Southwest, Wilson Daniel Frita. They call him Da Costa. He too was arrested, and eventually he was sentenced in 2025 again, all fraud issues. So my thought here is that Cameroon copies a lot. I mean, music. Look at Cameroon. When it comes to music, every young person now is trying to be Nigerian. They are either singing Nigerian style, it's Afro beats, is that. When it comes to scam and fraud, it seems like we have made it a point. Young Cameroonians, not our generation, because all these guys are uh, younger than 40. They are in their 30s. So these are young Cameroonians who have, wouldn't know if I should say copy, or who have just decided to go through life through the easy route. Again, this would be the easy route. I mean, we were both here when COVID happened. I'm sure if we were dubious and criminal minded as some of these guys, I'm sure we too had the possibility of going and getting a loan, or frauding the system, right? But again, it's like people like these who kind of go out and tarnish the reputation of Cameroon.
Yeah.
Generally, when it comes to Africa, Cameroon has a really good reputation, which I enjoy. When I travel, when
Mm-hmm.
I present my passport, or I say I'm Cameroonian, nobody talks about scams, nobody
No.
talks about fraud. They talk about football. That is what we are good at.
Yeah.
That is what we are known for. That's what our generation is known for.
Mm.
However, I get the feeling, and I'm worried that this current generation, so the people below 30, this generation is going to ruin the reputation that we've enjoyed for so long, where you present your passport and you automatically become a suspect.
Yeah.
That is definitely something I'm worried about. Or where you make an application for a visa and they start doubting why you really want to visit, or why you really want to get a visa. Because again, it starts small, but again, it's not what. If it was just this one, I would say, well, some unfortunate Cameroonian is attempting um to game the system, but it's not just this one person. There's a
Okay.
long list of Cameroonians who are dealing with or hiding from, a long list of Cameroonians who have escaped from the United States and are hiding somewhere in Cameroon. Yeah, it worries me that our reputation is going to be tarnished to a point where when you say you're Cameroonian, people start thinking about scam.
Right.
Again, I don't know if you agree, but most of the time when Nigerians travel, once you present a Nigerian passport, that is the first thing that comes to people's mind. Nigerian prince, uh, you're always connected to a scam. There's always a questioning why you're visiting a particular place. There, you're scrutinized a lot more
Yeah.
than a Cameroonian would be. So yeah, that is clearly something that I am worried about. I don't know if it's something about the young people who, I don't know if it's the lifestyle, I don't know if it's social media, because even just before his arrest, if you go to Kang Quinto's social media, his Facebook
Yeah.
profile, you would see him living
Lavishly.
a lavish life in Europe, where he went for a visit. I mean, I'm not sure if people are stupid, or people think that the law forgets. The law does not forget.
To say the FBI.
The FBI does not forget. It might take time, but remember that they haven't forgotten about you, because Kanquitus has been in Cameroon for a long time. And then all of a sudden he decides to take a trip to Europe. Why? Knowing why he was in Cameroon, because his decision to relocate to Cameroon wasn't for anything other than the fact that he was trying to escape from the law,
Yeah.
right? So why all of a sudden, why would you want to go on a vacation to Europe? Well, you've decided to go. Why do you have to leave your life on Facebook and put it there for everyone to see. Like you're notifying the FBI and Interpol where you are, and you're inviting them to come arrest you, because again you're spending money that was gotten illegally or by fraud. And
Yeah.
he's not the only one. This Da Costa guy spent a long time in Cameroon after escaping from the United States, and then decided to go back there. For what reason? I'm not sure. And then he got arrested, right? So it's like they forget, they run, they stay for a while, and they believe, okay, we are, maybe
Forgotten about me.
they've forgotten about you, so I can just go back and live my life. No, they haven't. The law does, the arm of the law is slow, but it definitely catches up to you. Always, always. You, and you can, I can guarantee you that always catches up to you. So yeah, those are some of the things that came to mind when. And again, I feel like Cameroon now is a place where people go to launder money, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
When you scam, do your scams, or you do your frauds, you defraud people, you run to Cameroon, and you I don't know if that's how we want to be seen in Cameroon.
That's how I was saying. And also the people in Cambodia, stop comparing your family abroad to. Yes, man. If these people make it as if we are not working hard, or we are not focused on the right thing. Remember how Eritado used to go on social media and they meet? He was at one point supporting Amazonia and talking to was Gary Master calling for the killing of people and the maiming of people, and at the same time you're insulting people. I've only been here for like 6 years. Look at what I've achieved. Look at this
Mhm.
business. I've opened this business. It's about being smart and stuff like that. Then imagine your family in Cameroon look at that video and they're asking you, my man, you just in the same America or Canada you deal with these people. Like, do they have two heads? What is it that they are doing that you cannot do to be able to make the kind of money that they're making? Um, um, I hope this is an answer and it settles that urge to ask a question how people make their money. Any hardworking person, I don't care how much you make. You cannot be flaunting the lifestyle that these people are flaunting on social media. It's not. If you really earn your money, I think you're gonna be. You know,
Honestly,
you're not gonna say. If you're really busy working, man, you're not gonna be traveling and having that free time and spraying money at parties and stuff like that. Like people who work hard for that money don't just do that. It's not part of the lifestyle. So I hope you can see. Say we will the hustle. We need to spend that kind of money. So now hustle the hustle, and don't take us and try to make us be like people who are fraudsters because some of us are hardworking here and every penny matters. Okay, it does matter.
if you notice, people who live lavishly in that manner are either people who come from money. So
Yeah,
if your young if your father is a billionaire, millionaire, and there's money at your disposal, of course, you know you have a big inheritance. You have other friends who are wealthy as well. You can spend money that way. Or people who get money easily without doing much work, like defrauding uh, a system, defrauding the United States government, Hush Puppy, Can Quintus, Eric Tato, people like that. Is money that's gotten easily is always spent with little regard to the value of the money that you're spending. Because if you work hard and earn money from hard work, or if you're running a business and making money off that business,
yeah,
you don't go around flaunting wealth in that way. You don't spend it on social media. You don't spend it on the flashy lifestyle that you see. So again, I think that's what I've noticed. Even just as a young person growing up, I've always noticed that those who are flaunting money that much either come from money, or they get their source of money is usually questioned.
Well,
um I think that's something that we kind of need to learn. Do you do you want do you want to be a hard worker, take your time, make money, appreciate the value of money, or do you want to go the easy route, and going the easy route knowing very well, or knowing that the slow arm of the law is always going to catch up with you?
it's always gonna catch you. Anyways, yeah, we'll see what the charges are, and yeah, we'll go from there. I think that's it for today. We'll be back.
Okay.
Still a lot happening in the world. Iran situation is still ongoing. We're going to come back to that. The World Cup will be starting soon. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, a lot of things are happening. Hopefully, there'll be a cabinet reshufflement in Cameroon. We'll talk about that when it comes out. Yeah, any last words?
Oh no, that's it. Thank you everyone for joining and for watching. If you have a minute, please like, share, subscribe. We do have a YouTube channel and of course a Facebook page, so follow us and share this content to your friends and those who might be interested in listening to this podcast or listening to the kind of conversations that we're having. We are going to see you again shortly, and have yourself a good night. Bye.